advice is don't take dating advice from a guy who's single. So, with that being said, the I saw a video on Breaking Points, and it was Shuan Head on there, and they were talking about the situation regarding, you know, the I guess loneliness in young men today. Talking about a lot of young men don't have friends. They don't have much luck with dating. They have financial insecurities and on and on and on and on. They also talked about the failures in the left in terms of addressing these things, which have opened up opportunities for very, let's just say, disgusting type of individuals who tend to lean right, and they're not disgusting because they lean right. They're disgusting because they're disgusting, and for some reason, people like that tend to focus on, you know, a right-wing audience. A lot of money to be made on the right, whether it's political partisan commentary or whatever it is. So obviously, people who, not necessarily obviously, but people who want to, you know, make their money targeting, you know, focusing on, you know, or preying on men's loneliness, they focus on that side. Now you have left-wing folks trying to compete, and, you know, like, oh, don't go to the right, come to us, we'll help you out, young guys. Well, as someone who is, I do not associate myself with the left or the right, or the middle. I'm a true independent. Think for myself. I do not believe in tribes. And who is 47 years old, so I've been around the block a few times, but yet I am single. And I'll get into why that is, and partially my fault. I would start with saying I acknowledge that there is, in my view, much truth to the concept that I believe there's a fundamental problem which has been created by social media and these dating apps, which at one point in time were great, but they are no longer, in my view. It's this digital thing that is infesting platforms like the one you're on right now, YouTube, right? You get these algorithms that try to be smarter than us. You know, they know what's best for us and blah, blah, blah. You don't want to watch that video. You want to watch this video, right? You subscribe to this channel, so you want to see videos from this channel, but then the algorithm's like, no, 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 I know you subscribe to this channel, but you should really watch these videos, right? It's like the same thing with dating apps, right? And it's kind of a domino effect where it just gets a snowball effect, probably a better analogy to use, where it just gets worse and worse really, really fast with time. You know, there's certain sort of trends and patterns that these, you know, this technology picks up on, and over time it just gets worse and worse. It's like a disease. And what's the end effect? I'm sure you've heard this before, but you have a ton of women targeting and focusing on the top men that are on these apps. So think about the best looking guys. I'm talking about just amazing, you know, some, you know, in terms of what a woman or someone who is attracted to men would find attractive anyway. So the top in the in terms of looks and wealth or perception of wealth, you know, all the stuff that you know, if women could sort of design a guy, right, what would that guy look like? What would it consist of? If they could, like, you know, build a bear, build a man, what would it look like? Those guys that they would build, those are the ones that are getting all of the women. And again, these are the top of the top. So, you know, think about all the guys that you know, whatever you're into, but it's nothing about your sexual preference, right? Just think about, in your opinion, who are the guys that you know that you think are like the most attractive? Not that you're attracted to them, but the most attractive guys. I'm not talking about those guys. I'm talking about way more attractive than that because there's such a selection available on these apps that the average like quote unquote hot guy is he doesn't look so hot compared to some other guys that are on there, right? They're getting all the attention, and then in reverse, I don't want to say all women are getting the similar effect, but it almost will feel that way where you're less than average and you're getting attention similar to some of the cream of the crop guys. You're just an average woman, even more so. If you have any level of hotness to you, even a tiny bit, then just through the roof. And I'm sure some women will watch this video and tell me otherwise in terms of their experience, but in my view, that's what I think is happening. So what's the effect of that? Devalues men and overvalues women, right? Devalues men and overvalues women. Supply and demand. Think about it. Think about just how the markets work, right? If everyone has a Lamborghini, no one wants a Lamborghini. A Lamborghini becomes annoying, it's loud, it burns too much gas, it's delicate, it's impractical, it's not enough storage. That's the world where everyone has a Lamborghini. So when everyone has a Lamborghini loses massive value. Who cares about buying a Lamborghini when everyone has one, right? And that's an actual thing. When you look at the upper classes, you look at 1%ers. I mean, some of them do have this dilemma, right? Everyone they know has a Lamborghini and they want to be special. So that's when you go buy a Pagani or some, a Bugatti or something like that, try to one up your neighbors. But, in the wrong neighborhood, maybe all your neighbors have Bugattis as well. That's why you get, if you look at the 1% for guys that are into cars, you'll see some of the most extravagant, like customized, diamond encrusted, blah, blah, blah. Because at some point in time, it doesn't matter how much money you have because, at the top of the level of terms of financial, right? You can afford a Bugatti, right? So if you can afford a Bugatti, neighbor can afford a Bugatti. I mean, what are you going to do? You get the top of the line Bugatti. Okay, your neighbor can afford top of the line Bugatti as well. So that's why the customization comes in, where it's like, okay, there's no other Bugatti that has this, blah, blah, blah. Or you get the 1 off or 3 off or 4 off type of things. So, but the bottom line is the same concept applies. Simply having a Bugatti is no longer impressive when everyone around you has a Bugatti. So you need to have a special Bugatti, right? So again, when it's easy for women to find men on these apps, they just sign up and you don't have to look even that good. You don't have to be all that interesting necessarily. And then you have a lot of men in your inbox hitting you up. Then what value do men have in that scenario? Right? So if you're a good guy, you're invisible. How can a woman possibly weed through all of that selection? How can she be mature enough and, sort of systematic enough in her approach to have a system where she can efficiently weed through? There's only so many hours in the day, so many guys sending you messages. So most women are going to come up with some kind of a system where they're going to try to make it an efficient way of filtering through, right? And then, unfortunately, that's going to end up filtering through a lot of really good guys. I mean, there's just no way around it. There's no way to effectively, sift through the tons of guys that are going to be approaching them, right? So ironically, I'll sit here and say they have such a selection, but they'll probably complain about the selection because, again, it's hard for them to weed through all of this noise. So they'll actually find themselves, even with all the selection, having trouble finding what they're looking for. They find a guy and he's just not the one, something's not right, blah, 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 blah. right? Because again, you can't spend a ton of time weeding through every single guy. So you come up with these systems of like, oh, he's too short, he's too this, he's too that, da, 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 and it's just so aggressive that, I mean, yeah, it's allowing you to be able to have some level of selection, because otherwise, like, you'll be overwhelmed. You can't go in depth with a whole bunch of guys, right? So this allows you to actually be like, okay, let's talk to this guy, let's talk to this guy, right? So it's serving a purpose somewhat that you have a selection, but again, what's the quality of the selection, right? So even though it seems like women have it the best, and they're like, they have all these options, again, if you talk to a woman, she'll probably tell you she doesn't feel that way, because she's not finding what she's looking for. But if we that's a little bit in the weeds. In general, they're getting all of the selection. For a guy now, again, you're on the opposite end of that. So how can you be noticed when there's so much noise? I would like to say, number one, something for you to consider. Don't feel inadequate or feel bad about what you don't have. Case in point, I have a lot of stuff that you probably think you need to be successful, and it's not really doing much for me. I'm doing well for myself, shall we say? So money is something that I have going for me. I know there's this manosphere to talk about all women care about is money and all that kind of stuff. I'm 6 feet tall, so I'm not short. Make good money. I even have the sort of I'm the what do you say, the professional, right? But then also I'm the sports bike guy. I am the sports car guy, which is something that is, I think, for many women a difficult thing to find. They want the guy who has the money, but they tend to be more boring, for lack of a better way of describing it, than the quote unquote fun guys who are, on the bikes and the cars and whatever, tend to be more, yeah, it's fun and exciting, but then they're sort of wishy-washy and dishonest, and those are the cheaters, and all kinds of problems come with that. So I would say don't get that idea in your mind that the reason why you're having trouble is because you need these things. You need the money, you need the height, you need the six-pack abs, and all of that stuff. I would also say, I guess maybe this might be a contradictory thing for me to say. Let's just say when I meet a woman, I consciously make an effort to not distract her with any ideas in terms of me having money. I'm certainly not gonna arrive in a fancy car on a first date and things like that. However, as time goes along and I get to know the person and things are going good, obviously, or not necessarily, but I do sort of, do some upgrades, as I get to know the person. But I try not to be, let's just say I'm not the guy who's going to roll up in a Lamborghini on a first date. I would rather show up in a regular car because I want to know that she's interested in me and not my possessions, right? So that being said, I think rather than take a negative attitude about the situation, I think there is a better way to approach it. I'm about solutions rather than complaining about things. This is why I've been able to be successful in life. Rather than complain, I find solutions. I try things, I fail, I try again. I'm a fighter, right? So I would recommend you sort of what you should do is acknowledge the reality. It is very difficult. You do have a lot of competition. There is a lot of stuff going against you. The loser mentality is, so why even try? Or you get caught up in this manosphere nonsense where you're going to be just like hating on women and women suck and they're all gold diggers, right? That's an easy cop out, right? The fighter attitude, the solution oriented attitude is knowing this tells you that you've got to be your best self, and not just to find a woman. You should be your best self regardless. You should live your best life regardless. I mean, think about that, right? Why wouldn't you want to be the best version of yourself? The best version of yourself is you happy and confident and pursuing your goals and dreams and, you know, maybe making a positive change in this world. So I think focus on yourself, be your best self. You know, try to be, you know, in everything. You're in terms of your personality, like you get whatever issues you have. Maybe you have communication issues, work on those, take classes. Spend a lot of time, you know, examining yourself and thinking about ways that you can improve yourself. Because you can't you really don't have much of a choice. Again, you're dealing with a very challenging and competitive market. You cannot afford to not be your best self. Also, because of the market, if you actually do find someone who's a good person, you cannot afford to screw it up, right? Imagine all this, oh, it's so tough, whatever, and you actually find someone that's a good person, and then you let it slip through the cracks because you're not where you need to be or should be. So I would focus more on yourself and making yourself a better person than focusing on the lack of selection and the negativity and the apps and whatever. I mean, it's good to acknowledge reality, but it's also good to have a positive attitude and be about finding solutions rather than just focus on the negative. All right, thank you. I would also be very pessimistic about people who, and this is in general, not just with like dating and stuff, be very pessimistic about people who are trying to sell you on, you know, I'm gonna teach you how to be, you know, real good with women and all that kind of stuff. There are a lot of parasites, unfortunately, in this country. And they're always looking for victims to take advantage of. And right now there is a growing market of potential victims of guys who are having, you know, these types of issues. So there's tons of people out there that are willing to take your money and, you know, play all kind of games. And the thing that's messed up is propaganda is very powerful and manipulation. So these guys can actually convince their customers that they have gotten what they paid for, right? Legit guys will go out there and legitimately don't recognize they're being scammed, think that they got some great advice, and they'll tell you, yeah, it's great, you should sign up too. I mean, some of them, they're scamming too, because that's part of how the scam network works. You know, so I want to scam you, I'm going to teach you dating advice or whatever, right? And then I do like affiliate stuff. So people who want to make money as well can go and promote my stuff, right? And say, yeah, signed up and it was great. And they're lying, right? And then they give you like a code, and then you sign up, and they make money off of you, right? You become the sucker, right? I'm not saying there's no one out there that doesn't have good advice, but generally speaking, assume that it's a scam, assume it's a waste of time. Again, not saying that there's nobody out there, but an overwhelming majority of people out there that are claiming they're going to teach you how to find women or whatever, it's just a scam. I'm going to tell you straight up, it's a scam. So be your best self. Don't let your limitations hold you back in terms of your physical appearance, in terms of finances, even in terms of your confidence. Listen, you could be the shyest guy in the world. I can guarantee you there is a shy woman, or maybe she's not shy, but she likes shy guys, that's out there. So your challenge is not necessarily, I should say not necessarily, I don't think your challenge is to change who you are. You can improve yourself. I'm not saying you can't do that. I've certainly improved myself. That is a thing, but when I improve myself, I'm becoming a better version of me as opposed to turning into somebody else. So if I'm naturally a shy guy, improving myself would be maybe not to be as shy as I am. You know what I mean? Embrace the fact that I'm sort of an introvert, but make it so it's not as extreme. I mean, because if you're super, super shy, and then you're not going to be able to even meet women, regardless. So in terms of them being able to make an assessment whether they like you or not, they can't do that if they don't meet you, right? So that will be a self-improvement. So I'm not going to go from I'm a shy guy to now I'm an extrovert. You can just find a way to be better about just be slightly more outgoing. So you're super shy to a point where you can't even meet someone. You won't go on a date. You won't go anywhere. You won't do anything to meet anyone. And then you can improve yourself to the point where you're still shy, but at least you'll go out there. You'll go out there in your shy way, and you'll go out on your date in your shy way. And if you find someone who is cool with that and actually likes that, maybe, because I guarantee you there's women out there who think that a lot of men are too aggressive, too abrasive, and they prefer someone who's more shy, and somehow their personality complements yours. So, and that's kind of a double point for you. So not only should you not let what you feel are limitations hold you back, but also you should not think about trying to change who you are. You know what I mean? Be who you are. Just try to be the better version of yourself. And if you guys want, I can do more videos about this in the future. But I guess one of the last points I was getting into is this idea of sort of changing who you are. Because I look at a lot of these like dating tips and stuff like that, and a lot of times it's almost like they're trying to change who you are, as opposed to improve who you are, be a better version of yourself. And I think changing who you are is not the way to go. You know, like for example, if I'm not a romantic type person, for me to try to pretend to be that, you know, you find someone doing that, and then eventually it gets old, and then you stop doing it, and then you know she connected with you based on that personality, that you know that performance you're putting on, and when that performance goes away, you fall back to your natural self, then it's like she feels like bait and switch. So once again, I feel like you really should embrace who you are, just improve who you are, be a better version of yourself. I think that's the better approach. Anyway, if you guys want to hear more, let me know. Comment in the comment section below. But those are some of the recommendations I would give.